The wedding invitation was hand-delivered by courier, cream cardstock, gold embossing. Her name spelled wrong. After 24 years of marriage and a brutal divorce, Victoria Barrett's ex-husband wanted her at his wedding, to his 29-year-old mistress turned fiancée. Most women would have thrown the invitation away, sent a polite decline, moved on with their lives, but Victoria was not most women. She had just sold her company for $320 million. And she had a plan involving the most expensive dress in the world, $5 million worth of diamonds, a dress worn once by royalty, a dress that would make a statement no one would ever forget. This is the story of what happens when you invite your self-made millionaire ex-wife to watch you marry the woman you cheated with. This is the story of revenge. No, not revenge, something better. This is the story of a woman who walked into a room full of people who counted her out and proved she was not just surviving, she was thriving. Stay with me, because what happened that night changed everything. The wedding invitation was hand-delivered by courier, cream cardstock, gold embossing, her name spelled wrong. Victoria Barrett stood in her corner office on the 47th floor, Manhattan skyline behind her like a postcard someone else had bought. The invitation trembled in her hands. Not from cold. The office was always too warm. She was shaking because Graham Barrett and Amber Sinclair requested the pleasure of her company at their wedding. Her company, at their wedding. She read it 3 times, locked her phone screen, unlocked it, read the invitation again. Lock, unlock, lock. This could not be real. The paper felt expensive between her fingers. Of course it did. Graham had always cared about appearances, about what things look like from the outside. He would have spent hours selecting this cardstock, this font, this particular shade of gold that said old money without trying too hard. Her name was spelled Victoria Barrett, 1T. After 24 years of marriage, he still did not know how to spell her name correctly. Or maybe Amber had addressed the envelopes. That seemed more likely. Amber would not know. Amber had been his assistant for 2 years before becoming his mistress, then his fiancée. Why would she know how many T's belonged in his ex-wife's last name? Victoria walked to the window. 48 stories below, people rushed through their lives. Taxis honked, tourists took photos. Someone was selling hot dogs on the corner. The world continued turning as if nothing had changed. But something had changed. Graham had invited her to his wedding. She looked at her reflection in the glass. 48 years old. She had rebuilt her life after the divorce 5 years ago. Built a tech consulting firm from nothing while Graham was busy with his 23-year-old assistant. 23. Now she was 29. Still young. Still everything Victoria had stopped being somewhere around year 12 of their marriage. The door burst open. No knock. That meant Diane. Diane Morrison swept into the office like a courtroom cross-examination given human form. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She had been Victoria's best friend since business school. 25 years of friendship. She knew when something was wrong. "Please tell me that is not what I think it is," Diane said. Victoria handed her the invitation. The silence stretched between them like pulled taffy, long, thin, ready to break. "He did not." Diane's voice was flat disbelief. "He did." The audacity, the absolute unmitigated gall. Diane stopped, studied Victoria's face. "What are you thinking?" Victoria turned back to the window. Her reflection stared back. Successful businesswoman, self-made. She had done that, built something real after Graham left, after he traded her in for a newer model, a model who did not have stretch marks from carrying his children, who did not have gray hair she refused to dye, who did not remember when he was just a junior real estate developer living off his father's connections. "I am thinking," Victoria said carefully, "that this is either the cruelest thing he has ever done or an opportunity." "Or what? What opportunity could possibly come from attending your ex-husband's wedding to the woman he cheated on you with?" "I do not know yet, but first I need to understand why." She flipped the invitation over. There was a handwritten note on the back. Graham's careful script. He had always been proud of his handwriting. Penmanship, he called it, as if they still lived in 1850. The note said, "Tori, I know this seems strange, but Amber suggested it. She thinks it would show everyone we have moved past our differences, that we are mature adults. The kids would appreciate it. Please consider. Dash G. The kids. Owen was 24. Claire was 21. Both old enough to have opinions about their parents' disaster of a marriage. Both old enough to remember the fighting, the cold silences, the night their father moved out while their mother pretended to be asleep in the guest room where she had been sleeping for 2 years. He is using the kids, Diane said. She had read the note over Victoria's shoulder. That is emotional manipulation, Virgin. Yes. You are not seriously considering this. I am considering it. Why? Give me one good reason. Victoria made a decision that surprised even herself. She picked up her phone, opened her messages, typed one word to Graham. Maybe. 3 dots appeared immediately, disappeared, appeared again. Then a response. Really? She did not respond. Let him wonder. She had learned something in the past 5 years. Silence held more power than words ever did. When you stopped explaining yourself, stopped defending yourself, stopped trying to make people understand, you took back your power. Diane was staring at her. You texted him, maybe? Victoria, talk to me. What is going on in that brilliant mind of yours? I need to think. I need to process this. Process what? The fact that your narcissistic ex-husband invited you to his wedding as some kind of twisted power move? Maybe it is not a power move. Maybe it is exactly what he said. Maybe Amber really does want to show everyone they are mature adults who have moved past their divorce. And you believe that? Victoria looked at her friend, really looked at her. Diane had been there through all of it. The discovery of the first affair, the second, the third, the final one with Amber that broke the camel's back. Diane had held her while she cried, had strategized the divorce, had built her business with her, had never once said, I told you so, even though she had every right to. No, Victoria said, I do not believe that, but I am curious what happens if I say yes. What happens is you get humiliated in front of 200 people. Or, Victoria said slowly, I show up and prove that he did not break me. Diane's expression shifted. Understanding dawned. You want to make a statement? I want to see what happens when I stop hiding. I have spent 5 years rebuilding myself in private. Maybe it is time to show the world what I became after he left. Her phone buzzed, Graham calling. She let it ring once, twice, 3 times, answered on the 4th ring. Tori. His voice had not changed, still that careful control, like he was always negotiating a real estate deal. Even with his ex-wife. You are awake. So are you. I am in my office. Amber is asleep. I needed to explain why I sent that invitation. You already explained. In your note. I know it seems strange. Strange is one word for it. Silence on the line. She could picture him. Standing in his home office in the Connecticut house they used to share. The house she had decorated. The house where she had raised their children. The house he now shared with Amber. It was Amber's idea, he said finally. She is big on closure. New beginnings. Fresh starts. She thinks showing everyone that you and I can be in the same room, that you approve of our marriage, it makes her look good. It makes her look magnanimous, Victoria corrected. It makes her look like the bigger person, the woman who welcomed her predecessor with open arms. Another silence, longer this time. You always were smarter than me, Graham said. Yes, I was. I am. Tori, I am not trying to hurt you. Then what are you trying to do? I am trying to move forward. We have kids together, grandkids someday, holidays, birthdays. I do not want it to be awkward forever. Victoria almost laughed. Awkward. He thought 5 years of silence after 24 years of marriage was merely awkward. Not devastating, not soul-crushing, not the complete destruction of everything she thought she knew about herself and her life. Just awkward. What if I told you, Victoria said slowly, that I am considering coming for reasons that have nothing to do with what Amber wants? I would say I am listening. I will let you know by Friday. She ended the call. Diane's phone pinged immediately. She looked at it, looked at Victoria. Why is my alert system telling me that Graham Barrett just called you at 2 in the morning? Long story. Coffee, 7 in the morning, my office, be there. Fine. After Diane left, Victoria sat alone in her office. The city lights spread out before her like diamonds on black velvet. Expensive diamonds. Real diamonds. Not the cubic zirconia version of happiness she had settled for in her marriage. She opened her bottom desk drawer, the one she never opened. Photos spilled out. Their wedding. God, she had been 24. He had been 26. Babies. They had been babies playing house. Her dress had been simple. They could not afford much. His mother, Eleanor, had called it charming in that tone that meant tacky. Eleanor Barrett, with her old money and older opinions, had never thought Victoria was good enough for her son. Maybe she had been right. Victoria picked up one photo, their 10th anniversary party. She was laughing at something someone had said. Graham was looking at his phone. She remembered that night now, really remembered it. She had planned everything, rented the ballroom at the plaza, invited 200 guests, worn a stunning dress, made a toast about their decade of love, their beautiful partnership, else their future together. He had spent most of the evening checking his phone. Work crisis, he had said. She had believed him. That was 8 years before the divorce. The crisis was not work. It was Rebecca. Or was it Jennifer? There had been so many before Amber. Amber was just the one who got him to leave. Victoria put the photos away, all except one, the anniversary photo. She studied it. The woman in that picture was trying so hard, trying to be perfect, trying to be enough, trying to make a marriage work with a man who had already checked out. I was not crazy, she said to the empty room. The signs were all there, I knew. God help me, I knew, and I stayed anyway. Her phone buzzed, a text from Marcus Webb, her business partner. Why was everyone awake at 2:30 in the morning? The text said, call me, I have news about the acquisition. She called. Tell me, she said. They accepted our offer. The deal closes in 6 weeks. Tori, we did it. Victoria sat down. She had been standing this entire time. Her legs suddenly felt unreliable. How much? She asked. 3.2 billion. Your share after everything. $320 million. She could not breathe, could not process. $320 million. Tori, are you there? I am here. We celebrate tomorrow, tonight, whenever you want. We built something incredible. You built something incredible. After she hung up, Victoria sat in her chair staring at nothing, at everything. 5 years ago, she had walked away from her marriage with her dignity and not much else. Graham had inherited his real estate company from his father, had connections, had wealth. She had walked away and started over, and now she was worth $320 million, and he had invited her to his wedding. Victoria started laughing. She could not help it. The universe had a sense of humor after all. She texted Graham back. One word, yes. His response came immediately. Thank you, this means a lot. She texted again. I need a +2. My children would like to attend. Graham, of course, whatever you need. Victoria smiled, put down her phone, looked out at the city. The sun would be up soon. A new day, a new chapter. A new opportunity to show the world exactly who Victoria Barrett had become. She texted Diane, never mind coffee at 7. Come now, bring champagne. I have news. Victoria could not sleep. 2 hours after her conversation with Marcus, after Diane had arrived with champagne, and they had toasted to success and revenge in equal measure, Victoria found herself alone again. 4 in the morning. Her brownstone in the West Village was quiet, too quiet. She went to her study. The invitation sat on her desk under a pool of lamplight. She kept circling back to one question. Why did this hurt so much? The divorce was 5 years ago. 5 years of therapy with Dr. Reese, 5 years of meditation apps and self-help books and expensive retreats where people told her to manifest her truth. 5 years of rebuilding herself from the ground up. 5 years of telling herself she was over it, but seeing their names printed together. Graham and Amber, Mr. and Mrs. Graham Barrett. It made her stomach twist. She opened the bottom drawer of her desk, not the office desk, the desk at home where she kept things she did not want to think about. Photos from their wedding spilled out across the polished wood surface. 24 years old, white dress from a department store, flowers from the grocery store, Reception in Graham's parents' backyard because they could not afford to rent a venue. She had thought it was romantic, starting their life together with nothing but love and dreams. Graham's mother had pursed her lips through the entire ceremony. Eleanor Barrett in her Chanel suit and pearl necklace, watching her son marry a girl from New Jersey who had worked 3 jobs to pay for business school. A girl who did not know which fork to use at fancy dinners, who said hopefully when she meant I hope, who thought network was just something you did with computers. Eleanor had been right to purse her lips. The marriage had been a disaster from the start. No, that was not fair. The first few years had been good. They had been happy, struggling but happy, living in a tiny apartment in Queens, building their careers, supporting each other. She remembered laughing with him, really laughing, the kind of laughter that came from deep in your belly and made your face hurt. When had that stopped? She pulled out more photos. Their first house in Connecticut, Owen as a baby, Claire's christening, family vacations to the Cape, birthday parties, holidays, 24 years of life documented in images that lied about what was really happening behind the smiles. There, that photo, Owen's 10th birthday. She was smiling, but her eyes were empty. Graham had his arm around her, but there was distance between their bodies. They were already strangers by then, already living parallel lives in the same house. Owen had been 10. That made it 14 years ago. 14 years of slow death. 14 years of watching her marriage decompose like organic matter, returning to soil. I was not crazy, Victoria said to the empty room. Her voice sounded strange in the silence. The signs were all there. Her phone buzzed. Graham calling again. She stared at it, let it ring. On the 4th ring, she answered. We need to stop meeting like this, she said. I could not sleep. I keep thinking about you coming to the wedding. I need to know you are really okay with them. Are you okay with this, Graham? You are the one who is about to marry someone else while inviting your ex-wife to watch. Amber insisted. So you said, multiple times. What do you want, Graham? It is 4 in the morning. Silence. She could hear him breathing, could picture him in his office, or maybe on the terrace. He always went outside when he could not sleep. Some habits never changed. I want to explain, he said finally, about everything, about how we got here. We got here because you cheated on me, multiple times, with multiple women for multiple years. Then you left me for your assistant, who was young enough to be your daughter. That is how we got here. It was not that simple. It was exactly that simple. Tori, I made mistakes. I know that. But our marriage was not working. You have to admit that. We were not happy. Victoria felt something cold and sharp lodge in her chest. I was happy, Graham. I was building a life, raising our children, supporting your career. I was happy until I realized my husband was sleeping with other women and lying to me about it. You were always working, always distracted, always more interested in your clients than in me. I was building something, the same way you built your real estate company. The difference is I did not cheat on you while I was doing it. This is exactly why I did not want to have this conversation. Then why did you call me at 4 in the morning? Another silence. Longer this time. She could hear something in the background. Was that crying? Was Amber crying? I should go, Graham said. Yes, you should. Thank you for agreeing to come to the wedding. It means a lot. Does it? Or does it just make Amber look good? Both can be true. Victoria hung up, sat in her study. The photos were still spread across her desk like evidence at a crime scene. Evidence of what? A marriage that failed? A woman who stayed too long? A man who never grew up? She gathered the photos, put them back in the drawer. All except one, the 10th anniversary party at the plaza. She had been 34, still young, still beautiful, still trying so hard to make him happy. She remembered that night in detail now. The details she had buried came flooding back like water through a broken dam. She had planned for months, sent invitations to everyone they knew, booked the ballroom, hired a photographer, bought a dress that cost more than she wanted to spend. She wanted it to be perfect, wanted to celebrate 10 years of marriage, wanted to show everyone they had made it. Graham had been on his phone all night. She had noticed but pretended not to. She was good at pretending. She had a PhD in pretending by that point, pretending the late nights were work, pretending the lipstick on his collar was from a colleague's air kiss greeting, pretending the perfume in his car was from giving someone a ride, pretending the distance between them was just a phase all marriages went through. At midnight, when the party was over and everyone had gone home, she had asked him to dance. Just the two of them in the empty ballroom. The band was packing up. The caterers were cleaning. She had wanted one dance, one moment, one connection. He had checked his phone. Work emergency, he said. I need to make a call. He had left her standing alone in the empty ballroom in her expensive dress. She had danced by herself, one slow rotation. Then she had gone to the bathroom and cried so hard she threw up. That was 14 years ago, 8 years before the divorce. 8 years of staying when she should have left. Why did I stay? She asked the empty room. Because of the kids, part of her answered. Because of the life you built. Because divorce was failure and you did not fail at things. Because leaving meant admitting you wasted 24 years. Because starting over at 43 seemed impossible. Because you loved him. That was the truth she did not want to face. She had loved him. Despite everything, despite the cheating and the lying and the gaslighting, she had loved the man she thought he was, the man he had been in the beginning, the man who laughed with her in their queen's apartment, the man who had dreams and plans and wanted to build something together. That man was gone. Maybe he had never existed. Maybe she had invented him. Her phone buzzed, a text from Owen. Mom, are you awake? I saw Dad texted me that you are coming to the wedding. We need to talk, she called him. He answered immediately. Mom, everything okay? Your father invited me to his wedding. Yeah, he told me he was going to. I said it was a terrible idea. What did he say? That Amber insisted, that it would be good for everyone to see you have all moved on. Owen paused. Are you going? I am considering it. Why? His voice cracked slightly, still her baby boy despite being 24, despite being a grown man with his own apartment and job and life. Because I want to show him and myself that he did not break me. Silence. Then Owen said something that broke her heart and healed it at the same time. Mom, he did break you. I watched it happen. I was 14 when you stopped singing in the kitchen. Quince when you stopped laughing at his jokes. DSCIs when you moved into the guest room. I am not stupid. Victoria sat in her parked car outside her brownstone. She had come out to get something. She could not remember what. Now she sat unable to move, unable to breathe. Her son had watched her disappear, had watched her become a ghost in her own life. Owen, I am so sorry. Do not apologize. You stayed for us. Claire and I knew that. We just wished you had left sooner. You deserve better than him. You always did. I did not know you felt that way. How could you not know, Mom? I stopped talking to Dad for a year after the divorce. Claire did not speak to him for 2. We were furious at him. We are still furious at him. He is your father. That does not give him the right to treat you like garbage. And now he is inviting you to his wedding like some kind of trophy. Look, everyone, my ex-wife is so over it, she came to celebrate my new marriage. It is sick. Victoria leaned her head against the steering wheel. Her throat closed. She could not speak. If you go, Owen continued, I am going with you, as your date, not his son. Your date, your support, your proof that you have people who actually love you. She started crying. She could not help it. You do not have to do that. Yeah, I do. Claire will too if you ask her. She is more pissed at Dad than I am. She just hides it better. She is good at hiding things. Wonder where she learned that. After the call, Victoria sat in her car for 20 minutes. The parking attendant knocked on her window. She waved him away. He shrugged and left her alone. The anger that had been simmering for 5 years suddenly boiled over. Not hot anger, cold anger, the kind that calcifies in your bones and turns into purpose. Graham had taken everything, her youth, her confidence, her joy. He had made her question her sanity with his gaslighting. You are imagining things that never happened. You are too sensitive, you are crazy. And now he wanted her to smile and bless his new marriage. To make him look like a good guy. A man so amicable that even his ex-wife wished him well. She pulled out her phone, texted Marcus, "I need a dress, something that cost what he wishes he was worth." Marcus responded immediately, "Say more." Victoria typed carefully, "Find me the most expensive dress in the world. Something that makes a statement, something unforgettable." Marcus, "On it. Also, the deal closes next week, not in 6 weeks. Accelerated timeline. You will be officially wealthy exactly 2 weeks before his wedding." Victoria, "Perfect." Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer. "Mrs. Barrett, this is Natalie Preston. I am the wedding planner for Graham Barrett and Amber Sinclair's wedding. I understand you have accepted the invitation." "I have not decided yet." "Oh," Natalie sounded flustered. "It is just Miss Sinclair asked me to call. She wanted to make sure you knew that the dress code is formal but not too formal. She did not want anyone to overshadow the bride." There it was, the real reason for the call. "Tell Miss Sinclair," Victoria said sweetly, "that she has absolutely nothing to worry about." She ended the call, texted Marcus again. "Make it $5 million. Marcus, "What?" Victoria, "The dress. I want a dress worth $5 million. Marcus, "You are serious." Victoria, "Completely." Marcus, "Give me 48 hours. Victoria went back inside her brownstone, made tea, Earl Grey, sat in her reading chair by the window, the one that had held her through the first year after the divorce, the place where she rebuilt herself one quiet moment at a time. Every woman had that chair, that cup of tea, that window, the place where you put yourself back together when someone else had torn you apart. She was done being torn apart. It was time to show the world what she had built from the pieces. At 7 in the morning, Victoria walked into Diane's office with purpose. Diane was already there, coffee made, pastries from the bakery down the street. She knew Victoria was coming. "You look like you have not slept," Diane said. "I have not, but I have clarity. Coffee first, then clarity." They sat. Victoria drank her coffee black, strong, the way she liked it now. Graham had always taken his with cream and sugar. She used to make it for him every morning. She could not remember when she stopped. "Talk to me," Diane said. "Graham called me at 4 in the morning." "Of course he did. What did he want?" "To explain, to justify, to make himself feel better about inviting me to his wedding. And I realized something. He still thinks he has power over me. He thinks inviting me to his wedding is generous, magnanimous. He thinks I should be grateful." Diane took a bite of croissant, chewed thoughtfully. "What are you thinking?" Victoria pulled out her phone, showed Diane the text from Marcus about the acquisition closing early. "Holy hell," Diane said. $320 million, Tori. In 2 weeks. 2 weeks before his wedding. So you will be wealthier than him? Significantly. Marcus did some research. Graham's company is leveraged to the point of collapse. The real estate market downturn hit him hard. He is not broke, but he is not nearly as successful as he pretends to be. He is living off credit in his father's reputation. Does Amber know? She is about to sign a prenup that assumes he is worth what he was worth 5 years ago. Marcus saw the filing when he was doing research. The numbers do not match reality. Diane set down her coffee, leaned forward. "You are going to destroy him." "No, I am going to show up as myself. If that destroys him, it is because he built his new life on a foundation of lies. That is not my responsibility. What do you need from me? Your friendship, your support, and your legal opinion. If I warn Amber about the prenup, am I liable for anything?" "Warn her how?" "I do not know yet, but the woman I used to be would want someone to tell her the truth. And I am trying to become the woman who tells the truth even when it is uncomfortable." Diane smiled, the kind of smile that had won her countless cases. Sharp, calculating, proud. "You have already become that woman. You just needed a reason to show everyone else." They talked for an hour, made plans, discussed strategy. When Victoria finally left Diane's office, she felt lighter, stronger, more certain than she had felt in years. Her phone buzzed, Eleanor Barrett calling, Graham's mother. Victoria stared at the name on the screen. They had not spoken since the divorce. Eleanor had chosen her son. That was what mothers did. Victoria understood. She answered anyway. Victoria, you look well. How would you know how I look? I am standing outside your brownstone. I know this is unorthodox, but I need to speak with you. May I come in? Victoria looked out Diane's office window, could not see her own street from here. But Eleanor Barrett did not lie. Old money never lied. They manipulated, they suggested, they implied, but they did not lie directly. I will be there in 20 minutes, Victoria said. Thank you. The call ended. Victoria looked at Diane. Eleanor is at my house, Victoria said. Graham's mother? What does she want? I have no idea, but I am about to find out. Mate. 20 minutes later, Victoria opened her front door. Eleanor Barrett stood on the stoop, 73 years old, still elegant, still intimidating, still that particular blend of old money and judgment that made even successful people feel inadequate. But something was different. Eleanor's eyes were tired, her shoulders less rigid. She looked smaller than Victoria remembered. Come in, Victoria said. They sat in the living room. Victoria did not offer tea, did not offer coffee. This was not a social call. I heard Graham invited you to the wedding, Eleanor said. News travels fast. Judith told me, Graham's sister. She is worried. She thinks this is Amber's way of humiliating you. And what do you think? Eleanor was quiet for a moment. Then she said something Victoria did not expect. I think my son is an idiot. And I think you are considering going because you have become someone formidable enough to handle it. Victoria blinked. Formidable? You were always smart. Smarter than Graham. Smarter than most people. But you did not know it when you married him. You were what? 24? Still trying to prove yourself. Still trying to earn your place at the table. I was in love. You were. He was too, in his way. But his way of loving was always selfish, always conditional, always about what you could do for him. Victoria felt something crack open in her chest. Why are you telling me this now? 5 years after the divorce? Eleanor's hands shook slightly. She clasped them together. Because I should have told you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I knew he was cheating. Multiple times, multiple women. I told myself it was none of my business. That marriages work these things out. That wives overlook these things. Did you overlook them in your marriage? For 43 years, Graham's father had affairs throughout our entire marriage. I knew. Everyone knew, but you did not divorce in my generation. You did not admit failure. You preserved appearances. He died last year, Victoria said softly. Yes, and now I am 73 years old with money and freedom and no idea who I am without the pretending. I spent 43 years being the perfect wife to a man who did not deserve it. And now he is gone, and I realize I wasted my entire life. Eleanor looked directly at Victoria, really looked at her. I do not want that for you. You got out. You rebuilt. You became someone incredible. I see the articles about your company. I see your success. I am proud of you, even though I have no right to be. Victoria could not speak. She sat in her living room with her former mother-in-law and felt the weight of all those years pressing down on both of them. I am going to the wedding, Victoria said finally, and I am going to wear a $5 million dress. Eleanor's eyes widened. Then she laughed, actually laughed, a real laugh that sounded rusty from disuse. Good. Burn the house down, Victoria, metaphorically speaking. Why are you really here, Eleanor? The older woman stood, smoothed her skirt. Because someone should have been on your side back then, and I was not. Consider this my very late apology. She paused at the door. Also, I am bringing a date to the wedding. A man I met at my book club. Graham does not know yet. I thought you would appreciate the advance notice. After Eleanor left, Victoria sat in her living room in silence. The universe was aligning in strange ways. Her former mother-in-law bringing a date to her son's wedding. Her business partner finding her a $5 million dress. Her children wanting to support her. Maybe this was not about revenge. Maybe this was about claiming space, about existing loudly, about showing everyone, including herself, that she had survived and thrived. Her phone buzzed. Claire calling. Mom, Owen told me you are going to Dad's wedding. I am considering it. Take me with you. Please. I am so tired of him acting like he is Father of the Year while treating you like you never mattered. Claire, he is still your father. And you are still my mother, the parent who actually showed up, who actually cared, who actually put us first. I want to stand with you. Let me stand with you. Victoria closed her eyes. Both her children wanted to support her. Both wanted to show the world whose side they were on. Okay, she said, we will go together. All three of us, you, me, and Owen. What are you wearing? You will see. Is it going to be amazing? It is going to be unforgettable. After the call, Victoria went to her bedroom, stood in front of her full-length mirror, looked at herself, really looked. 48 years old. Lines around her eyes from laughing and crying and living. Gray in her hair that she refused to dye because she had earned every silver strand. A body that had carried 2 children and worn itself out trying to be enough for a man who would never see her. She was done trying to be enough for other people. It was time to be enough for herself. She texted Marcus. Did you find it? Marcus, I found it. You are not going to believe this. Custom creation from Valentina Rossi. You know her? Victoria. The designer who dressed royalty? Marcus. The same. This was her final piece before she retired. Covered in actual diamonds. $5.2 million. Worn once by Princess Margareta at a state dinner. I convinced the collector who owns it to let you borrow it. Victoria. How? Marcus. I told him you were about to be worth $320 million, and you would be the best advertisement bin his collection ever had. Also, I may have implied you might buy it after the wedding. Victoria. Will I? Marcus. Do you want to own a $5 million dress? Victoria. I want to own the memory of wearing it. That is worth more. She looked at the photos Marcus sent. The dress was stunning. Not ostentatious, not gaudy, just elegant and powerful and absolutely covered in diamonds that caught the light like captured stars. She would wear that dress. She would walk into Graham's wedding with her children on either side. And she would show everyone what happened when you underestimated Victoria Barrett. Her phone rang. Amber. Victoria stared at the name, considered not answering, answered anyway. Victoria, hi, this is Amber. Sinclair. Soon to be Barrett. Nervous laugh. I just wanted to say thank you for coming, for being so mature about this. Graham said you have been really gracious. Victoria chose her words carefully. Amber, can I give you some advice? Sure. Get a post-nuptial agreement, not a prenup. A post-nup, after you are married. That accounts for his actual current assets. Silence on the line. Then, why would you tell me that? Because 5 years ago, I wish someone had told me the truth. Consider it a wedding gift. Victoria hung up, sat on her bed, felt something shift inside her chest. Not anger, not bitterness, just clarity. She was going to that wedding, and it was going to change everything. 1 week before the wedding, the acquisition deal closed exactly as Marcus had promised. Victoria signed the papers in a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. 12 lawyers, 4 executives. One signature that changed her life. $320 million. After taxes, still enough to never worry about money again. Enough to do whatever she wanted, be whoever she wanted, live however she wanted. Marcus hugged her when it was done. You did it. We did it. This was all you, partner. The tech company's CEO shook her hand. We could not have scaled without your insight. You built the framework that made this acquisition possible. You are a visionary. Victoria smiled, accepted the compliments, signed the papers, and felt nothing. That was not true. She felt relief. She felt pride. She felt satisfaction. But she did not feel complete because money did not heal the wounds Graham had left. Money did not give her back the years she lost. Money did not make her whole. But it did give her options, and options were power. She went home. The dress had arrived that morning. It sat in her bedroom in a climate-controlled case that looked like something from a museum, because it was something from a museum. This dress belonged in a museum, and she was going to wear it to her ex-husband's wedding. The stylist arrived at 3 in the afternoon. Her name was Helena. She was 60 years old with silver hair and an accent Victoria could not place. She had dressed celebrities. royalty, first ladies, and now she was here to dress Victoria Barrett for the most important entrance of her life. "Show me the dress," Helena said. They opened the case together. The dress seemed to glow. Diamonds caught the afternoon light streaming through Victoria's bedroom windows. Thousands of diamonds, maybe tens of thousands. Victoria had not asked, did not want to know. Some things were better left as mysteries. "Do you understand," Helena said softly, "that this dress tells a story? You are not just wearing it, you are inhabiting it." "What story does it tell?" "That you have become who you were always meant to be, that you surveyed, that you transformed, that you are not a victim, you are a victor." Victoria looked at the dress, then at Helena. "How do you know I am a victim?" "Because no one spends $5 million on a dress unless they are making a statement. And the only women who make statements like this are women who have something to prove, not to others, to themselves. I want to prove I am not broken." "Then you are going to the wrong event. You should already know you are not broken. This dress should be a celebration, not a defense." Victoria sat on her bed. Helena sat beside her. Two women, 160, 148, both understanding what it meant to rebuild yourself after someone tried to destroy you. "Tell me your story," Helena said. So Victoria did. She told Helena everything. 24 years of marriage. The affairs, the gaslighting, the divorce, the rebuilding, the invitation, the decision to go, the dress, the statement, all of it. Helena listened without interrupting. When Victoria finished, Helena took her hand. "You have already won," Helena said. "The dress is not your weapon. You are. The dress is just your armor. And armor is only useful if you know you are going into battle. But this is not a battle. This is a coronation." "A coronation?" "You are crowning yourself, claiming your power, showing the world who you really are. The dress is your crown. Wear it like you deserve it, because you do." They spent the next 3 hours preparing. Hair, makeup, nails. Helena brought a team. They worked in efficient silence, transforming Victoria from a woman who had been broken into a woman who had never been broken at all. When they finished, Helena told Victoria not to look in the mirror yet. "Wait until you put on the dress. You need to see the complete transformation." They helped her into the dress. It fit perfectly. Custom alterations had been made. The weight of the diamond should have been heavy, but somehow it felt light, like wearing starlight, like wearing power. "Now," Helena said, "you can look." Victoria turned to the full-length mirror in her bedroom and stopped breathing. The woman in the mirror was not the woman who had walked into this room 3 hours ago. This woman was luminous, powerful, untouchable. The dress caught every angle of light. The diamonds blazed, but it was not the dress that made her stunning. It was her face, her eyes, her posture. She stood like someone who owned the world. Because she did. She owned her world. Finally. "Mom?" Claire's voice from the doorway. Victoria turned. Her daughter stood frozen, staring. "Oh my God, Mom, you are stunning." "Is it too much?" "No, it is exactly enough. It is perfect." Owen appeared behind his sister. He stared, blinked, stared again. "Dad is going to lose his mind." "That is not why I am wearing it." "I know, but it is going to be a really fun side effect." They all laughed. Victoria felt something warm spread through her chest. Her children, standing with her, supporting her, proud of her. Helena and her team packed up. Before she left, Helena hugged Victoria. "Remember, this is not a battle. This is a coronation. You are not going to his wedding. You are going to your own transformation ceremony." After they left, Victoria sat in her bedroom in the $5 million dress and felt strange. Not nervous, not scared, just strange. Like she was becoming someone new. Or maybe becoming someone she had always been but forgot how to be. Her phone rang. Amber again. Victoria almost did not answer, but something made her pick up. "Victoria, I'm sorry to bother you. I know the wedding is in a week. I need to ask you something." "Ask." "Why did you tell me to get a post-nup? What do you know about Graham's finances?" Victoria closed her eyes. This was the moment. She could lie. She could deflect. She could protect Graham the way she had protected him for 24 years, or she could tell the truth. His company is struggling. He is not broke, but he is not as wealthy as he appears. The prenup you are signing assumes he is worth what he was worth 5 years ago. Those numbers are not accurate anymore. A postnup after the wedding will protect you if things go wrong. How do you know this? Because I did my research. Because I spent 24 years with a man who lied to me about everything. And because I do not want you to go through what I went through. Silence. Then, are you trying to break us up? No, I am trying to give you information I wish I had. What you do with it is your choice. I do not understand you. I am marrying your ex-husband. Why would you help me? Because you are 29 years old and you deserve to make informed decisions. Because no woman should walk into a marriage blind. Because I am trying to be the person I needed 5 years ago. More silence. Then Amber said something that surprised Victoria. Thank you. Really. I do not know what I am going to do with this information, but thank you for telling me. You are welcome. After the call, Victoria sat in her dress and thought about the girl she had been at 29. Ambitious, hopeful, in love, believing that love conquered all, that if she just tried hard enough, she could make her marriage perfect. She knew better now. Love did not conquer all. Love did not fix broken people. Love did not overcome incompatibility and dishonesty and fundamental character flaws. But maybe kindness could do what love could not. Maybe telling Amber the truth was more powerful than any revenge could ever be. Her phone buzzed. Owen texting, Claire texting, Diane texting, Marcus texting, even Eleanor texting, everyone checking in, everyone offering support, everyone reminding her she was not alone. She was not alone. She had been alone in her marriage, isolated, cut off from her friends and family by a man who made her believe no one else understood, no one else mattered, only him. But she had rebuilt, found her people, created her tribe, and now they were all standing with her. The dress hung in her closet, waiting. In 1 week, she would put it on again, walk into the Plaza Hotel, and show Graham Barrett exactly what he had lost. Not because she wanted him back, not because she wanted revenge, but because she wanted to prove to herself that she could walk into that room and feel nothing but pride. Pride in who she had become, pride in what she had built, pride in surviving something that should have destroyed her. She texted everyone back, "Thank you, I love you all, see you at the wedding." Then she took off the dress, hung it carefully, and went to bed early for the first time in 5 years, because she was not worried anymore. She was ready. 3 in the morning, 4 days before the wedding. Victoria could not sleep again. But this time it was different. She was not anxious. She was processing. She went to her study, made tea, sat in her chair by the window, watched the city sleep, or pretend to sleep. New York never really slept. It just dimmed its lights and lowered its voice. Her therapist's words echoed in her mind, words from their session yesterday. What are you really hoping to get from attending this wedding? Victoria had not known how to answer. Closure, validation, proof that she was over it. I think, she had said slowly, I am trying to show myself that I am not the woman I was when I left him. That I am stronger, better, complete. And you need Graham to see that in order to believe it? That was the question that kept her awake. Did she need Graham to see her success? Did she need his validation? Was she still seeking approval from a man who had never appreciated her? No, she did not need his approval. She needed her own. But staring at the dress photos on her phone, Victoria felt something crack open inside her chest. What was she doing? Spending $5 million to prove what? That she was successful? That he had not broken her? That she was over it? What if she was not over it? What if she never would be? What if attending this wedding was just another way of giving him power over her life? She picked up her phone, called Dr. Reese's emergency line. Victoria, her therapist's voice was alert despite the hour. What is wrong? I think I am about to make a terrible mistake. They talked for an hour. Dr. Reese asked hard questions. Why did Graham's opinion still matter? Why did she need to prove anything? Who was she really doing this for? I do not know anymore, Victoria admitted. Maybe I am just as damaged as he made me feel. Or maybe, Dr. Reese said gently, you are grieving, not for him, not for the marriage, but for the years you lost. The woman you could have been if you had left sooner. The life you could have lived if you had chosen yourself first. Victoria started crying, really crying, not delicate tears, ugly crying, the kind that came from somewhere deep and broken. I gave him 24 years, the best years. I was young when we married. I could have built an empire by now if I had not spent 2 decades managing his ego and covering for his failures and pretending to be happy. But you did build an empire. You built your company. You built your life. You built yourself back from nothing. That is not a small thing. It does not feel like enough. What would be enough? Victoria could not answer. She cried in her study at 3 in the morning while her therapist listened. Finally, Doris said something that changed everything. The question is not whether you should go to the wedding. The question is whether you will still be grieving after. Whether seeing him marry someone else will bring closure or just rip open old wounds. Only you can answer that. After the call, Victoria sat alone. Really alone, not just physically alone, but emotionally alone. She had people who loved her. But this decision was hers. This grief was hers. This healing was hers. She went to her bathroom, looked in the mirror, really looked, 48 years old. When had she stopped being young? When had she become this woman with lines around her eyes and gray in her hair? She had spent so many years trying to stay young for Graham, trying to compete with the 20-somethings he preferred. When had she stopped being enough? The answer came clear and cold. She had always been enough. He had never been. That was the truth she had been avoiding. Graham was not a good man who made mistakes. He was a broken man who broke the people around him. And she had stayed because she thought she could fix him, thought her love would be enough, thought if she just tried harder, did better, was more, he would see her value. But you cannot make someone see your value when they have decided you have none. You cannot earn love from someone who is incapable of giving it. You cannot fix someone who does not think they are broken. You survived him, Victoria said to her reflection. You built something amazing. You raised 2 incredible kids. You are not going to let him make you small again. But her hands shook as she turned off the light. She went back to bed, lay in the dark, thought about the wedding, about the dress, about walking into that room and seeing him marry someone else. What would that feel like? Would it hurt? Would it heal? Would it matter? Her phone buzzed. Graham texting at 3:30 in the morning. Can we talk, please? I need to tell you something about the wedding. Victoria stared at the message. Every instinct told her to ignore it, to set boundaries, to protect herself, but curiosity won. Tomorrow, my office, 10 in the morning. Graham, Amber cannot know. Victoria, then do not tell her. She put down her phone, closed her eyes, and for the first time in weeks, she fell asleep quickly, because she knew something now. Whatever Graham wanted to say did not matter. His words had no power over her anymore. She was going to listen because she chose to listen. Not because she needed his validation or his explanation or his permission. She was listening because she was curious. And curiosity was not the same as caring. Curiosity was just wanting to know how the story ended, even when you had already walked away. So morning came. Victoria dressed carefully, not for Graham, for herself. A sharp suit, red lipstick, the armor of a successful businesswoman who had nothing to prove and everything to protect. Graham arrived at her office at 10 exactly. He looked older, tired. His confidence had cracks in it like a windshield that had been struck but not yet shattered. Tori, thanks for seeing me. You said you needed to tell me something. He sat, did not speak for a long moment. She did not fill the silence. She had learned that silence made people uncomfortable, made them say things they had not planned to say. The wedding is a mistake, Graham said finally. Victoria said nothing. I mean, marrying Amber is a mistake, but I cannot call it off. The invitations are out. Her parents paid for everything. My mother would never forgive me. And the kids hate her. You know that, right? They will come around. No, Graham, they will not, because they know what you did to me. They watched it happen, and they are terrified you will do it to her too, and they will have to watch that train wreck. I will not. You will, because that is who you are. You do not cheat because the marriage is bad. You cheat because you are broken. And until you fix yourself, no relationship will ever be enough. He looked at her, really looked at her. When did you become so harsh? When I stopped making excuses for you, when I stopped believing your lies, when I stopped thinking your problems were my responsibility to solve. I miss you. I miss us. I miss having a partner who understood me, who built things with me. Amber, she is beautiful. She is young, but she does not get it. She does not get business. She does not get strategy. She wants babies and Instagram photos and a life that looks perfect from the outside. And you are realizing you traded a partner for a trophy. He nodded miserably. Victoria stood, walked to her window, looked out at the city she had conquered. Graham, I want you to hear this carefully. That is not my problem. You made your choice. Multiple choices. For years, you chose to cheat, to lie, to make me feel crazy, to gaslight me when I questioned you. You chose Amber, and now you get to live with that choice. I know, but I am coming to your wedding with our children, and I am going to look happy, not for Amber, not to be gracious, but because I genuinely am happy. Happy that I am not married to you anymore. The words hung in the air between them. She meant them. Every word. She was happy, had been happy for years now. The grief had become nostalgia. The pain had become memory. The love had become indifference. That was the real victory. Not hating him, just not caring. Graham left. Victoria sat in her chair, shaking, but not from weakness, from power, from finally saying what she should have said years ago. Marcus texted, "The dress arrives tomorrow." Also, I took the liberty of hiring hair and makeup, and a stylist, and a security detail. Victoria, security detail? Marcus, you are about to be worth over $300 million and wearing a $5 million dress. Yes, security. She laughed, actually laughed. The absurdity of it all. A security detail to watch her attend her ex-husband's wedding. But Marcus was right. This was not just a wedding anymore. This was a statement, a declaration, a transformation ceremony, as Helena had said. She was not going to Graham's wedding. She was going to her own coronation. The days before the wedding blurred together. Fittings, meetings, preparations. Victoria moved through them like water through a river. Smooth, inevitable, unstoppable. Her children came over the night before the wedding. They sat in her living room eating takeout and talking about everything except the next day. It felt normal, easy, like they were just a family having dinner together. Owen looked at her over his low mane. Are you nervous? No, should I be? Most people would be nervous about attending their ex-husband's wedding wearing a $5 million dress. I am not most people, Claire laughed. No, you are definitely not most people. Most people would have skipped the wedding, sent a nice gift, moved on with their lives. Is that what you think I should have done? No, I think you should do exactly what you are doing. I think you should walk in there and show everyone who tried to count you out that you are not just surviving, you are thriving. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. She did not cry. She had cried enough. But the love she felt for her children in that moment was overwhelming. Thank you, both of you, for standing with me tomorrow. Always, Owen said. We are Team Mom, forever. They stayed late, talking, laughing, remembering good times and bad times and all the times in between. When they finally left, Victoria stood in her doorway, watching them walk down the street together. Her babies. Not babies anymore. Adults who had made their own choices about who to be and where to stand. And they chose to stand with her. She went to bed early, set 3 alarms, did not need any of them. She was awake at 5 in the morning, alert, clear, ready. Helena and her team arrived at noon. The wedding was at 6. They had 6 hours to transform Victoria into the woman she was meant to be. They worked in efficient silence. Hair swept up in an elegant twist. Makeup perfect, but not overdone. Just enough to highlight her features without hiding them. She was 48 years old. She looked 48 years old, and she was beautiful. The dress came out of its case. Helena helped her step into it. The weight of the diamonds settled on her shoulders like a cape, like armor, like power made tangible. They adjusted, tweaked, perfected. Every detail mattered. Every angle counted. This was not just a dress. This was a statement of intent. "Do not look yet," Helena said. "Wait until we finish." Victoria waited, patient, calm. The woman who had called Dr. Reese at 3 in the morning seemed like someone from another lifetime. That woman had been scared. This woman was not scared. This woman knew exactly who she was. "Now," Helena said, "now you can look." Victoria turned to the mirror, and everything changed. The woman looking back at her was not Victoria Barrett. Not the Victoria who had married Graham at 24. Not the Victoria who had survived the divorce at 43. This was someone new, someone who had taken all those broken pieces and reformed them into something stronger, something better, something unbreakable. The dress blazed in the afternoon light. Diamonds caught every angle. Every movement created new patterns of light and shadow. She looked like she was made of stars, like she had pulled pieces of the night sky and woven them into fabric. But it was not the dress that took her breath away. It was her face, her eyes, the way she stood, the certainty in her posture. She looked like someone who owned the world. Because she did. She owned her world, finally, completely, absolutely. "Mom?" Victoria turned. Claire stood in the doorway, staring, her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen," Claire whispered. Owen appeared behind her. He could not speak, just stared. Finally, he said, "I am so proud to be your son." Helena smiled. Her work was done. She had not just styled a woman. She had revealed a truth that had been hidden. Victoria Barrett was and always had been magnificent. She just needed to see it, believe it, own it. The security detail arrived. Two professionals who looked like they belonged in an action movie. They would follow at a discreet distance, protect the dress, protect Victoria, make sure nothing went wrong. Everything felt surreal, like Victoria was watching herself from outside her body. She was about to go to her ex-husband's wedding wearing a $5 million dress with security guards and her children and her former mother-in-law who was bringing her own date. It was absurd. It was perfect. It was exactly right. At 5:30, the car arrived. Black, sleek, anonymous. Owen and Claire were already inside. They had dressed at their own apartments. Owen in a sharp suit that made him look older than 24. Claire in a gown that matched her mother's elegance. Victoria climbed into the car carefully. The dress was surprisingly easy to move in despite its weight. It had been made for movement, for presence, for power. They drove through Manhattan in silence. No one spoke. What was there to say? They were going to war, not with weapons, with presence, with dignity, with the simple act of existing fully and unapologetically. The Plaza Hotel appeared ahead. Golden lights spilled from the windows. Taxis and town cars lined up at the entrance. Guests arriving in their formal wear. Excited voices, laughter, the sounds of celebration. Victoria checked her watch. 5:55, 25 minutes after the ceremony's start time. Exactly when she had planned to arrive. Not so late as to be rude. Not so early as to fade into the crowd. She wanted everyone seated, everyone comfortable, everyone unprepared for what was about to walk through those doors. "Ready?" Owen asked, "More than I have ever been." The car pulled up to the entrance. The security detail got out first, checked the surroundings, nodded to the driver. The door opened. Victoria stepped out onto the red carpet that led into the plaza. Owen and Claire flanked her immediately, one on each side, her children, her armor, her proof that she had built something Graham could never touch. She walked toward the entrance. Every eye turned. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Someone dropped a glass. The sound of shattering crystal echoed in the sudden silence. Victoria did not pause, did not falter. She walked into the Plaza Hotel like she owned it, like she had every right to be there. Because she did. She had been invited, and she had accepted. The ballroom doors stood open. Inside, 200 guests sat in neat rows. At the front, Graham and Amber stood at the altar. The officiant was mid-sentence, something about love and commitment and forever. Victoria walked down the center aisle. The diamonds on her dress caught the light from the chandeliers. She blazed. She glowed. She was impossible to ignore. 200 faces turned to watch her. 200 mouths fell open. 200 minds tried to process what they were seeing. Graham turned, saw her. His face went white, then red, then white again. He recognized the dress, or rather, recognized what a dress like that cost. Understood immediately what it meant. Amber turned too, saw Victoria. Her expression shifted from confusion to understanding to something that looked almost like respect. Victoria reached her seat, front row, where Eleanor had saved them spaces. Her former mother-in-law sat with her book club date, Charles. She smiled at Victoria. A real smile. A proud smile. Magnificent, Eleanor whispered. Victoria sat, smoothed her dress, crossed her ankles, folded her hands in her lap, looked up at the officiant with polite attention. The ceremony continued. The officiant stumbled through the rest of his speech. Graham repeated his vows in a voice that shook. Amber repeated hers with her eyes on Victoria. They were pronounced husband and wife. They kissed. Everyone applauded, except Victoria. She simply sat, present, powerful, proof that you could survive anything if you refused to let it break you. The receiving line formed. Victoria stood. Owen and Claire flanked her again. They walked together toward the cocktail hour. People parted like the Red Sea. No one knew what to say. Everyone stared. Victoria heard fragments of conversation. Is that Victoria Barrett? How much did that dress cost? Did you hear she sold her company? $300 million, I heard. She looks incredible. Poor Amber, completely outshone on her own wedding day. No, rich Amber, that woman just showed her exactly who she married and who he let go. Victoria smiled, took a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, sipped it, let the bubbles dissolve on her tongue. This was it. This was the moment. She was here. She had done it. She had walked into her ex-husband's wedding and proved that he had not broken her. No, more than that, she had proved that losing him had set her free. The cocktail hour was excruciating, not for Victoria, for everyone else. They did not know how to act, how to approach her, what to say. She had broken every unwritten rule by showing up in a dress that cost more than most people's houses. But she had been invited. That was the beautiful irony. Graham had invited her. Amber had insisted. They had wanted her there to show how mature and evolved they all were. Instead, they had given her a stage, and Victoria had taken it. She stood by the window overlooking Central Park. The security detail maintained their discreet distance. Owen and Claire worked the room like the professionals they were. Charming, diplomatic, making it clear whose side they were on without being overtly rude. Victoria, she turned. Graham stood behind her. Amber was across the room, surrounded by bridesmaids. He had snuck away. Classic Graham, always dividing his attention. Never fully present anywhere. Graham, congratulations on your wedding. That dress. Tori, that dress. Beautiful, is it not? It belonged to Princess Margareta. She wore it to a state dinner in Monaco. I thought it was appropriate for such an important occasion. He knew she was lying, knew she had bought it, but he could not say anything without looking petty, without admitting he cared, without revealing that her success threatened him. You are trying to upstage Amber. No, Graham, I am just existing. If that upstages her, that is not my problem. Maybe you should have thought about that before inviting your wealthy ex-wife to your wedding. Wealthy? What are you talking about? My company, the acquisition. Did you not hear? It closed last week. I am worth slightly more than $300 million now, give or take. His face did something complicated. Pride, envy, rage, regret, all of it cycling through in seconds. I helped you build that company, he said. No, you helped yourself to my connections, to my expertise, to my ideas. Then you left me for a woman half your age, and I built my company anyway. Without you, in spite of you, because of you. Judith appeared, Graham's sister. Graham, your wife is looking for you. The emphasis on wife was pointed. She turned to Victoria. You look stunning, Tori. Thank you, Judith. Graham walked away. Judith stayed. My brother is an idiot, Judith said quietly. Always has been. I am glad you are here. Glad you are showing him what he lost. Even if he is too stupid to understand it. I am not here for him. I am here for Msame. Good, that is even better. The dinner was announced. Victoria found her seat. Table 1 with Owen and Claire, with Eleanor and Charles, with Diane, who had arrived late deliberately to avoid the ceremony. They ate, they drank, they laughed. At table 2, Graham sat with Amber and her family. He kept glancing over at Victoria. She ignored him. She was done giving him her attention, her energy, her care. The speeches started. The best man told inappropriate jokes. The maid of honor cried. Amber's father gave a touching speech about watching his daughter find love. Then Graham stood to speak. The room went quiet. He looked nervous. He should be nervous. He was standing in front of 200 people trying to explain why he left his wife of 24 years for his assistant. When I met Amber, Graham said, I was lost. My marriage had failed. I was struggling. She brought light back into my life. Victoria heard the lie. Your marriage had failed. Not I failed at marriage. Not I destroyed my marriage through my actions. The marriage had failed, like it was a third party, like he bore no responsibility. Amber taught me what it means to start over, to be brave enough to choose happiness, to let go of the past and embrace the future. Let go of the past. He meant her. Victoria was the past. Amber was the future. That was his narrative. The story he told himself to justify his choices. Victoria stood. The room went silent. All eyes turned to her. Graham stopped mid-sentence. I am so sorry to interrupt, Victoria said. Her voice carried in the silence. Clear, strong, unapologetic. I just wanted to say congratulations to both of you. Graham, I hope Amber makes you as happy as I once did. Amber, I hope Graham treats you better than he treated me. And to both of you, I hope you build something real, something honest, something that lasts. She raised her glass. To new beginnings. The room erupted in applause, not because they supported Graham and Amber, but because they had just witnessed Victoria Barrett claim her dignity in front of everyone who had watched her marriage fall apart. She sat down. Diane squeezed her hand under the table. Owen and Claire looked at her with pride and love and fierce protectiveness. Graham finished his speech. No one remembered what he said after. The only words anyone would remember from this wedding were Victoria's. The dancing started. Victoria danced with Owen first. He held her carefully, gently, like she was precious. That was the most badass thing I have ever seen, he whispered. Language. Mom, you just took his moment and made it yours. That was incredible. She danced with Claire next. Her daughter cried on her shoulder. I am so proud of you, Claire said. So proud to be your daughter. So proud to watch you become this person. I've always been this person. I just forgot for a while. She danced with Marcus, with Diane, with Charles, who told her she was the most interesting woman in the room, and Eleanor was lucky to have her as a former daughter-in-law. Graham and Amber had their first dance. It was lovely, picture perfect. But Victoria noticed something. Amber kept glancing over at her, worried, wondering. As the evening wound down, Amber approached Victoria. She had clearly had a few glasses of champagne. Liquid courage. Can we talk? Amber asked. Outside? They stepped onto the terrace, city lights below them, music behind them. Two women, connected by the same deeply flawed man. Did you mean what you said? Amber asked. About the post-nup? Every word. Why, you could have just let me figure it out. Let me walk into this blind. Victoria turned to face her, really looked at her. Amber was 29, young, beautiful, ambitious, exactly the kind of woman Graham would choose. Exactly the kind of woman Victoria had been 20 years ago. Because I spent 24 years in a marriage where people knew things I did not, where everyone was protecting me from truths I deserved to know. And it made me weak. I do not want that for you, even if you are marrying my ex-husband. Amber was quiet. Then she said something Victoria did not expect. He talks about you sometimes, when he thinks I am not listening. He says you were the smartest person he ever knew, and yet he still left. Not because you were not enough, because he could not handle being with someone smarter than him. Because he needed to feel superior, and he never felt superior to you. Victoria felt something shift in her chest. Understanding. Not for Graham, but for the dynamic that had poisoned their marriage from the start. Amber, I am going to tell you something I wish I had understood at 29. Your worth is not determined by his valuation of you. You are smart in ways he will never see, accomplished in ways he will never value, and you deserve someone who recognizes that. Amber started crying, not delicate tears, real messy tears. I think I made a mistake, but it is too late. We are married. It is never too late to choose yourself. They stood there in silence. Two women, 32 years of life experience between them, connected by the same man, understanding each other in ways he would never understand either of them. Thank you for coming, Amber said finally. Really, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Really. They went back inside, Amber to her husband, Victoria to her children. The night was ending. Guests were leaving. The wedding was over. Victoria found Owen and Claire. Ready to go? Already? Claire looked at her watch. It was only 10. The party is still going. I have seen what I came to see. As they left, Victoria did not look back. Not at Graham, not at Amber, not at the life she had left behind. She walked out of the Plaza Hotel with her head high and her children at her side and her heart finally free. Outside, the night air was cool, clear. Manhattan sparkled around them like the diamonds on her dress. That was the most badass thing I have ever seen, Owen said again. Mom, you are my hero, Claire added. I am just me. Finally. They got in the car. Victoria's phone buzzed. A text from Natalie, the wedding planner. I just want you to know that was the most elegant entrance I have ever seen. You are a class act. If you ever need event planning, I am your person. Victoria smiled, deleted the text, looked at her children, at the city passing by, at her life spreading out before her like an unwritten story. Where to? The driver asked. Home, Victoria said. Our home. The morning after the wedding, Victoria woke up in her brownstone feeling strange. Not bad strange, not good strange, just strange. Like she had crossed some invisible line and now existed in a different reality. She made coffee, Earl Grey tea, toast with butter, sat in her reading chair by the window. The chair that had held her through the worst of the divorce, the chair where she had rebuilt herself one quiet morning at a time. Her phone had 47 missed calls, 63 text messages, 19 voicemails. Everyone wanted to know about the wedding, about the dress, about what happened. She ignored them all. For now. This morning was hers. She thought about the night before, walking into that ballroom. Every eye on her, the diamonds blazing, Graham's face going white, Amber's complicated expression, the speech she had given, the dance with her children, the conversation on the terrace. Had it been worth it? The $5 million dress, the preparation, the drama, the statement. Yes, it had been worth it. Not because of how it made Graham feel, but because of how it made her feel. Powerful, complete, free. She had walked into the prayer room where her ex-husband was marrying another woman, and she had felt nothing but pride. Pride in herself, in what she had built, in who she had become. That was worth more than any dress, any revenge, any vindication. Her doorbell rang. She was not expecting anyone. She went to the door in her robe and slippers, opened it. Diane stood there with bagels and coffee. I know you probably want to be alone, but I also know you have not eaten anything except toast, and you need real food. Victoria laughed. Let her in. They sat in the kitchen eating bagels and drinking coffee and not talking about the wedding. So, Diane said finally, are you going to tell me how it felt? Strange. It felt strange. Good strange or bad strange? Just strange, like I closed a door or opened one. I am not sure which. Maybe both. Maybe both. They sat in comfortable silence. 25 years of friendship. Diane had been there for all of it. The wedding to Graham, the babies, The discovery of the affairs, the divorce, the rebuilding, and now this, the final chapter. I am proud of you, Diane said. Not for the dress, not for the entrance, but for surviving him, for building something amazing, for showing everyone, including yourself, that you are not defined by what he did to you. Thank you for being here through all of it. Where else would I be? After Diane left, Victoria finally looked at her messages. Most were from acquaintances, colleagues, people she barely knew wanting details. Gossip, drama. She deleted those. The messages from her children she saved. From Eleanor. From Marcus. From the people who actually mattered. Owen had texted, "I love you, Mom. Last night was perfect. You were perfect." Claire, you are my hero, my inspiration, my proof that you can survive anything. Eleanor, thank you for showing me what strength looks like. I wish I had found it 40 years ago. Marcus, you magnificent creature. You actually did it. I am in awe. There was one message from an unknown number. She almost deleted it. Then curiosity won. "This is Amber. I just wanted to say thank you for what you said last night, for the warning about the finances, for treating me like a person instead of an enemy. I do not know what I am going to do with the information you gave me, but I appreciate that you gave it to me." Victoria stared at the message, then typed a response. "You deserve to make informed choices. That is all I wanted to give you. Good luck, Amber. Really, I hope it works out." She sent it, then blocked the number. Not out of anger, but out of boundaries. She had done her part, said her piece, given her wisdom. Now Amber's life was Amber's responsibility, not Victoria's. There was no message from Graham. She had not expected one. He would be processing, trying to understand what had happened, how his ex-wife had walked into his wedding and stolen the spotlight without even trying. She hoped he understood eventually that she had not come for revenge. She had come for herself, to prove to herself that she could stand in that room and feel whole. Mission accomplished. Victoria spent the rest of the day doing nothing, absolutely nothing. She read a book, took a bath, made soup, watched old movies, did not check her phone, did not think about work, did not analyze or process or strategize. She just existed. Quietly, simply, completely. At 6 in the evening, there was a knock on her door. She opened it. Graham stood there. He looked terrible, like he had not slept. His suit from the wedding was rumpled, his hair uncombed. "Tori, can we talk?" She considered saying no, considered closing the door in his face, but curiosity won again. 5 minutes. She did not invite him in. They stood in her doorway, her in her comfortable clothes, him in his wrinkled suit. Two people who had once shared everything, now sharing nothing but a threshold. "Why did you come?" Graham asked. "Really? Because you invited me." "That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have. You sent an invitation. I accepted. I came. That is all. You humiliated me. You humiliated Amber. On our wedding day." "I did not humiliate anyone. I wore a dress. I gave a speech. I left. If you felt humiliated, that is because you realize what you lost. That is not my responsibility. You are worth $300 million. You wore a $5 million dress to my wedding. You brought our children as our dates. You gave a speech about hoping Amber makes me happy. Every single thing was calculated to make me look like an idiot." Victoria felt something old and clear settle in her chest. "Graham, listen to me carefully. I spent 24 years of my life making you feel good about yourself, building your ego, supporting your career, hiding your failures, covering for your affairs. I am done. I am not responsible for how you feel anymore. Not your pride, not your ego, not your reputation. That is your job now. I made a mistake leaving you. No, you made the right choice for both of us. I'm happier without you, wealthier without you, stronger without you. You did me a favor when you left. I do not believe that. I do not need you to believe it. It is true anyway." He looked at her, really looked at her. She could see him trying to find the woman he had married, the woman he had controlled, the woman he had diminished. That woman was gone. "Who are you?" he asked. I am Victoria Barrett, founder and CEO of Barrett Consulting, worth $320 million. Mother to Owen and Claire, friend to Diane and Marcus and Eleanor. I am someone who survived you. That is who I am. I do not know that woman. Good. She does not know you either. She closed the door, gently, firmly, finally. Through the window she watched him walk away. His shoulders slumped, his confidence shattered. He looked small. Had he always been that small? Or had she just been looking at him from her knees for so long that he seemed bigger than he was? She would never know, and she did not care. Victoria went back to her reading chair, picked up her book, and continued reading where she had left off. The story of a woman who rebuilt her life after losing everything. Fiction imitating life, or life imitating fiction. Either way, Victoria understood the character now, understood that losing everything was sometimes the gift you needed, the push that forced you to become who you were always meant to be. Her phone rang. Dr. Reese. I heard about the wedding, and her therapist said, "How are you?" I am good, really good. Is that strange? Not at all. You did something incredibly brave. You faced your fear. You proved to yourself that you are not broken. That is worth celebrating. I do not feel like celebrating. I just feel tired. That is normal. You have been preparing for this for weeks. Now it is over. You can rest. Can I? Is it really over? What do you think? Victoria thought about it, really thought. Yes, it is over. I proved what I needed to prove. Not to him, to myself. I can stand in a room with him and feel nothing but gratitude that I am not married to him anymore. That is closure. Then yes, it is over. You can rest now. After the call, Victoria did exactly that. She rested. For the first time in 5 years, maybe in 24 years, she rested. Not the exhausted collapse of someone who had been running too long, but the peaceful rest of someone who had finally reached their destination. She was home, in her brownstone, in her life, in herself. And that was enough. 3 days after the wedding, Victoria returned to work. Her office felt different, or maybe she felt different. Either way, walking into the building she co-owned felt like walking into a new life. Marcus was waiting in her office with coffee and pastries. The conquering hero returns. Please do not call me that. Too late. You are a legend. Do you know how many calls we have gotten? How many new clients want to work with us? Because of the wedding? Because of you. Because you showed everyone what grace under pressure looks like, what strength looks like, what success looks like. Victoria sat at her desk, looked out at the Manhattan skyline. Her skyline now. She had conquered this city, built an empire here, proved she belonged. I need to tell you something, Marcus said. The collector who owns the dress called. He wants to know if you want to buy it. How much? He will sell it to you for $4 million, below market value. He says you are the only person who should own it now. You made that dress famous. Victoria thought about it. A $4 million dress. A dress covered in diamonds. A dress that represented the most transformative night of her life. No, she said finally. I do not need to own it. I just needed to wear it once. To show myself I could. That is enough. Marcus smiled. That is exactly what I told him you would say. They worked through the morning. New contracts, new clients, new projects. The business was growing faster than they had anticipated. Success built on success. Victoria's name now carried weight, respect, authority. At noon, her assistant knocked. There is someone here to see you. She does not have an appointment, but she says it is important. Who? Amber Barrett. Victoria's first instinct was to say no, to protect her boundaries, to refuse to be pulled back into Graham's drama. But curiosity won. Again. Send her in. Amber walked into the office looking nervous. She wore jeans and a sweater, no makeup, her hair pulled back. She looked younger than 29, looked vulnerable. Thank you for seeing me, Amber said. I know you probably do not want to talk to me. What do you need, Amber? I need to know if what you said was true. About Graham's finances. I had my lawyer look into it. You were right. He is not nearly as wealthy as he claimed. The prenup is based on false information. What are you going to do about it? I do not know. That is why I am here. I need advice, and you are the only person who understands what it is like to be married to him." Victoria gestured to the chair. Amber sat. For a long moment, neither spoke. "I cannot tell you what to do," Victoria said finally. "That is your choice. But I can tell you what I wish I had done differently." "Tell me." "I wish I had trusted myself. I knew Graham was cheating. I knew he was lying. I knew our marriage was broken. But I did not trust my instincts. I convinced myself I was paranoid, insecure, crazy. I let him gaslight me into doubting my own reality. He does that to me, too. Makes me feel like I am imagining things. You are not imagining things. Trust that. Your instincts are trying to protect you. Listen to them." Amber nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I thought marrying him would make me happy. I thought being his wife would give me status, respect, security. But I feel more alone now than I did before. That is because you married someone who is incapable of true partnership. Graham does not want a wife. He wants an audience, someone to witness his success, validate his ego, make him feel important. Is that what you were? An audience? For too long, yes, but not anymore. Now I am the star of my own show, and you can be too, but you have to choose that. No one can choose it for you." They talked for an hour. Victoria told Amber things she wished someone had told her, about boundaries, about self-worth, about recognizing when you are compromising yourself for someone who will never appreciate the sacrifice. When Amber finally left, she hugged Victoria. "Thank you. I do not know what I am going to do, but thank you for treating me like a person, not like the woman who stole your husband. You did not steal him. He was not mine to steal by the time you met him. And honestly, you can have him. I am better off without him." After Amber left, Marcus appeared in the doorway. "That was big of you, helping her like that." "I am not helping her for her sake. I am helping her for mine. I am becoming the person I needed 5 years ago. The person who tells the truth even when it is uncomfortable. That is who I want to be now." Mission accomplished then. The week passed. Victoria fell back into routine. Work, meetings, dinners with friends, yoga classes, therapy sessions. Life continued. Normal life, quiet life, good life. On Saturday, Claire came over for brunch. They sat in Victoria's sunny kitchen eating French toast and talking about nothing important. It felt perfect. "How are you doing?" Claire asked. "Really?" "I'm good, really good." "No regrets about the wedding?" "None. It was exactly what I needed it to be." "Dad called me yesterday. He wanted to know if I thought you were okay." "What did you tell him?" "I told him you are more than okay, you are thriving, and that he should focus on his new wife instead of worrying about his ex-wife." Victoria laughed. "How did he respond to that?" "He did not. He just hung up. I think he finally understands that we are not going to be mediators anymore. We are not going to help him manage his guilt or his regret. He made his choices. Now he has to live with them. I am proud of you, both you and Owen. You have such clear boundaries. We learned from watching you. We watched you spend years without boundaries, trying to make everyone happy, sacrificing yourself for him. We decided we would not do that. We would choose ourselves first. That is the best gift I could have given you, the example of what not to do." They laughed, ate more French toast, talked about Claire's job, her boyfriend, her plans for the future. Normal conversation, easy conversation. The kind of conversation Victoria had forgotten was possible when you were not constantly managing someone else's emotions. After Claire left, Victoria cleaned up, did laundry, paid bills, all the mundane tasks of life that felt sacred now, because they were her tasks, her life, her choices. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something told her to. "Hello? Victoria, this is Eleanor. I wanted to call and thank you for including me in your support system at the wedding, for treating me with kindness even though I do not deserve it." "Eleanor, you do not need to thank me." "Yes, I do. I was not a good mother-in-law to you. I made you feel inadequate, unwelcome, like you were not good enough for my son. I am sorry for that. Truly sorry." Victoria sat down. This was unexpected. Thank you for saying that. I have been thinking a lot since the wedding, about my life, about the choices I made, about the woman I could have been if I had been braver. You inspired me, Victoria. You showed me it is never too late to choose yourself. What are you going to do? I am going to live, really live, not just exist, not just maintain appearances. I am 73 years old. I probably have 10 or 20 years left if I am lucky. I am not wasting them pretending to be someone I am not. Good, you deserve that. So do you. And you are doing it. You are living authentically, fully, completely. That is rare. Treasure it. After the call, Victoria sat in her living room feeling overwhelmed by gratitude for her children, for her friends, for Eleanor, for Marcus, for everyone who had supported her journey, but mostly grateful for herself, for choosing to leave when staying would have killed something essential inside her, for rebuilding when giving up would have been easier, for showing up to that wedding when hiding would have been safer. She had done the hard thing, the brave thing, the right thing, and now she got to live with the consequences, the good consequences, the beautiful consequences, the consequences of choosing herself. Her phone buzzed, a text from Owen. Family dinner next week? Your place? I will cook. She smiled. Typed back, yes, I love you. His response was immediate. Love you too, Mom. Proud of you. Always. Victoria looked around her brownstone, her home, her sanctuary, her proof that you could lose everything and still build something beautiful from the ashes. She had lost a marriage, but she had gained herself, and that trade was worth every difficult moment. 6 months after the wedding, Victoria sat in her office reviewing quarterly reports. The business had grown 40%. New clients, new projects, new opportunities. Success built on success, built on the foundation she had laid through years of hard work. Marcus knocked on her door. Got a minute? Always. He sat down, looked serious. I need to tell you something. I got an offer. Google wants me to head their enterprise consulting division. It is a good offer, a great offer, actually. Victoria felt her stomach drop. Marcus was her partner, her friend, her support system. Losing him would hurt. Are you taking it? She asked. I do not know. That is why I am here. I need your advice. My advice is to take it, if it is what you want, if it will make you happy. Do not stay here out of obligation or loyalty. I will be fine. You built this company. I do not want to abandon you. You are not abandoning me. You are choosing your own path. That is what people should do. Choose themselves. Choose growth. Choose possibility. Marcus smiled. When did you become so wise? About 6 months ago, when I walked into my ex-husband's wedding wearing a $5 million dress and realized I did not need his validation anymore. I just needed my own. You are going to be okay without me? I am going to be more than okay. I am going to be great. 2 weeks later, Marcus left for Google. Victoria threw him a going-away party, celebrated his success, wished him well, and meant it, because she had learned something over the past 6 months. Letting go did not mean losing. Sometimes letting go meant making space for something new. She hired a new partner, a brilliant woman named Sarah Chen, who had innovative ideas and boundless energy. Together, they rebuilt the leadership team, reorganized the company, launched new initiatives. The business did not just survive Marcus leaving. It thrived. Victoria thrived. She started dating, not seriously, just casual dinners with interesting men who made her laugh and challenged her thinking. She was not looking for a relationship. She was looking for connection, for conversation, for reminders that she was still interesting and interested in the world. One man, a professor of economics named David, took her to dinner and talked about game theory for 2 hours. It was the most intellectually stimulating date she had ever had. They dated for 3 months, then decided they were better as friends. They stayed friends. Another man, a doctor named James, made her laugh until her face hurt. They dated for 6 months, then realized they wanted different things. She wanted to focus on her career. He wanted to get married and have more children. They parted amicably. Victoria was not heartbroken. She was not desperate to find someone. She was complete on her own. Ce qui complete on. A partner would be nice, But a partner was not necessary. She had learned to be enough for herself. Owen got engaged to a wonderful woman named Maya who was smart and kind and treated him with respect. They had a small engagement party. Graham and Amber came. It was awkward but survivable. Victoria and Amber said hello, made polite conversation, then drifted to opposite sides of the room. They were not friends, would never be friends, but they were not enemies either. They were just two women connected by the same flawed man, and that was enough. Graham tried to talk to Victoria. She was polite but distant. There was nothing left to say. No closure needed, no explanations required. They had been married. Now they were not. That was the whole story. Claire got a promotion, started talking about moving to San Francisco for a new job opportunity. Victoria encouraged her, told her to take risks, choose adventure, build her own life, not stay in New York out of obligation to her mother. "Are you sure?" Claire asked. "I do not want to leave you alone." "I am not alone. I have friends, work, a life. You need to build your own life, not orbit around mine." Claire moved to San Francisco. Victoria helped her pack, drove her to the airport, hugged her goodbye, and cried in her car on the way home. But they were good tears, proud tears. Tears of a mother watching her daughter become independent and strong and capable. Victoria's brownstone felt emptier with both children gone, but it also felt peaceful. She decorated it exactly how she wanted. No compromises, no considerations for anyone else's taste. Just her style, her choices, her home. She hosted dinner parties, book clubs, wine tastings, filled her space with friends and laughter and good conversation. Her home became a gathering place, a sanctuary, a proof that you could build community even when you were starting over. 1 year after the wedding, Victoria received an invitation in the mail. Graham and Amber were renewing their vows. A small ceremony, family only. Owen and Claire were invited. Victoria was not. She was not offended. She was relieved. That chapter of her life was closed. She had no interest in reopening it. Owen called. "Are you okay that you were not invited?" "More than okay. I am grateful. I have no desire to attend another event celebrating their marriage." "Fair enough. Claire and I are going to skip it. We do not want to support him when he is still treating you like you did not matter." "You should go. He is your father. You can have a relationship with him separate from me." "We know, but we choose to. Not right now, maybe someday, but not yet." Victoria felt grateful for her children, for their loyalty, for their clear boundaries, for becoming adults who chose themselves and the people who truly loved them. 2 years after the wedding, Victoria was invited to speak at a business conference. She gave a keynote about resilience, about rebuilding, about choosing yourself even when everyone expects you to compromise. The speech went viral, not because it was about business, but because it was about being human, about surviving loss, about becoming stronger. She got offers to write a book, to do a TED Talk, to become a consultant on corporate culture and leadership. She said yes to some, no to others, chose carefully, protected her energy. Her life became full in ways it had never been during her marriage, full of purpose, connection, joy, growth. She did not think about Graham anymore. He had become a character in her origin story, the antagonist who forced her to become the hero. She was grateful for that, but she did not need him anymore. Not his approval, not his regret, not his recognition. She had her own approval, and that was enough. 3 years after the wedding, Victoria sat in her office looking at the city. She was 51 years old, wealthier than she had ever imagined, more successful than she had dreamed, more content than she thought possible. Her phone rang. Eleanor. "Victoria, I wanted to let you know, Graham and Amber are getting divorced." Victoria felt nothing, not satisfaction, not vindication, just mild curiosity. "What happened?" Apparently, she found out he was having an affair with someone from his office. Again, she filed for divorce, used the post-nup you told her to get. She is walking away with significantly more than she would have with just a prenup. Good for her. "He called me crying, saying he made a mistake, saying he should have fought harder to keep you. I told him it was too late, that you had moved on, that you were happy, that he needed to focus on fixing himself instead of blaming everyone else for his problems. How did he respond? He hung up on me. I have not heard from him since. I think I am finally done enabling him. Better late than never, I suppose. It is never too late to set boundaries. You taught me that. Thank you. After the call, Victoria sat with the information. Graham was getting divorced. Again, would probably get married again. Again, would probably cheat again. Again. That was who he was. That was who he would always be. She felt sorry for him. Not pitying sorry, just sad sorry. Sad that he would never learn, never grow, never become someone capable of real love or real partnership. But that was not her problem anymore. Had not been her problem for 3 years. Would never be her problem again. She closed her laptop, left work early, walked through Central Park, the same park she could see from the Plaza Hotel. The place where Graham had married Amber while she sat in the audience wearing a $5 million dress. That night felt like a lifetime ago, like a story that had happened to someone else. The woman who had walked into that wedding had been seeking closure, seeking validation, seeking proof that she was okay. The woman walking through Central Park 3 years later did not need closure, did not need validation, did not need proof. She was okay, more than okay. She was happy. She had learned that sometimes the best revenge was not revenge at all. It was just living so well that they realized what they lost, and then continuing to live well even after they realized. Because your happiness was not about them. It was about you. Victoria stopped by the Bethesda fountain, watched the water, thought about her life, about where she had been and where she was going. She had survived Graham, built a company, raised amazing children, created a life full of purpose and meaning and joy. She had proven to herself that she was not broken, that losing him had set her free, and now she got to live with that freedom. Every single day for the rest of her life. A man walked up to the fountain, about her age, maybe a little older. He smiled at her. Beautiful day. It is. You look familiar. Have we met? I do not think so. I am Daniel. Victoria. They talked for 20 minutes about the weather, about the city, about life, easy conversation, comfortable conversation. When he asked for her number, she gave it to him, not because she was looking for a relationship, but because she was open to possibility. He called 3 days later. They went to dinner, then another dinner, then a walk through the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. He was interesting, funny, kind. He did not try to fix her or save her or change her. He just appreciated her exactly as she was. They dated for 6 months, then a year, then 2 years. It was easy, comfortable, full of laughter and good conversation and mutual respect. He had been divorced too, understood the work it took to rebuild yourself, appreciated the strength it required. They did not rush anything, did not push for commitment, just enjoyed each other's company and built something real. 5 years after the wedding, Victoria sat in a restaurant celebrating her 53rd birthday. Owen and Claire were there, Maya and Claire's boyfriend, Diane and Marcus, who flew in from California, Eleanor and Charles, who were still together, Sarah, her business partner, and Daniel. Everyone she loved in one room, celebrating her, celebrating life, celebrating the journey that had brought them all together. Owen stood to give a toast to Mom, the strongest person I know. The woman who taught us that you can survive anything if you refuse to let it break you. We love you. Everyone raised their glasses. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes, but they were happy tears, grateful tears, tears of someone who had lost everything and built something even better from the ashes. After dinner, Daniel drove her home, walked her to her door, kissed her goodnight. Happy birthday, Victoria. I am glad you exist. I am glad I exist too. She went inside, made tea, sat in her reading chair by the window, the same chair where she had rebuilt herself 5 years ago, the chair that had held her through the worst of her life. She thought about the wedding, about the dress, about walking into that room and proving to herself that she was not broken. She had been so focused on proving she was okay, on showing Graham what he had lost, on making a statement. But the real statement was not made that night. The real statement was made every day after. Every morning she woke up and chose herself. Every decision she made that honored her needs. Every boundary she set that protected her peace. Every moment she lived fully and authentically and completely. That was the real victory. Not the dress, not the entrance, not the speech, but the life she built after. The woman she became when no one was watching. The peace she found when the drama was over. Victoria finished her tea, went to bed, and slept peacefully. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you survived the worst and came out better. The kind of peace that comes from choosing yourself every single day. The kind of peace that comes from understanding that the prison door had been unlocked and all along. She had been her own warden. 7 years after the wedding, Victoria received a call from the collector who owned the $5 million dress. "Mrs. Barrett, I hope this is not an imposition, but I wanted you to know. The dress is being donated to the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It will be part of an exhibit on transformative fashion moments. Moments when clothing became more than fabric. When it became statement, symbol, story. That is wonderful. The curator wanted to know if you would be willing to be interviewed, to share your story. They want to document why you wore it, what it meant, how it changed you." Victoria thought about it. Her first instinct was to say no, to keep that night private, to protect herself from judgment and gossip and people who would never understand. But then she thought about all the women who might see that dress, all the women who were trapped in marriages that were killing them slowly, all the women who thought they could not leave, could not start over, could not survive. "Yes," she said, "I will do the interview." 3 months later, Victoria stood in the Costume Institute. The dress was displayed in a climate-controlled case, lit dramatically, more beautiful than she remembered. A plaque beside it read, "Worn by Victoria Barrett to her ex-husband's wedding." This dress represents transformation, resilience, and the reclamation of personal power. Barrett wore this dress not as an act of revenge, but as a declaration of independence. A statement that surviving does not mean hiding. Sometimes it means showing up, taking space, existing loudly. The curator, a woman named Jennifer, smiled at her. "Are you ready for the interview?" They sat in a quiet room, camera rolling. Jennifer asked questions. Victoria answered honestly. "Why did you wear a $5 million dress to your ex-husband's wedding?" "Because I wanted to prove to myself that I was not broken, that he had not destroyed me, that I could stand in that room and feel whole." "Did it work?" "Not the way I thought it would. I thought wearing the dress would make me feel powerful, but the power did not come from the dress. It came from the choice to show up, to exist, to refuse to make myself small for his comfort." "What do you want women to know when they see this dress?" Victoria thought carefully. "I want them to know that leaving is possible, starting over is possible, building something beautiful from the ashes of something broken is possible. But also, I want them to know that the dress is not what saved me. I saved myself. The dress was just the crown I wore to my own coronation." The interview aired as part of a documentary about the exhibit. It went viral, not because of the dress, but because of Victoria's words, her honesty, her vulnerability. She received thousands of messages from women who had left abusive marriages, from women who were still trying to leave, from women who needed to hear that survival was possible, that happiness after heartbreak was real, that you could lose everything and still build a life worth living. She answered as many as she could, shared resources, offered encouragement, became an accidental advocate for women starting over. The work filled something in her she had not known was empty. Purpose beyond profit, impact beyond her own life, legacy beyond her own story. Owen got married to Maya in a beautiful ceremony in upstate New York. Graham was invited but did not attend. He was on his fourth marriage by then. Or was it fifth? Victoria had stopped keeping track. Claire got engaged to a wonderful man named Thomas, who made her laugh and supported her ambitions and treated her like an equal partner. The wedding would be in San Francisco. Victoria was already planning her trip. Eleanor passed away peacefully at 80 years old. She had lived her final years with joy and freedom and authenticity. At her funeral, she had requested that Victoria speak. Victoria talked about transformation, about how it was never too late to choose yourself, about how Eleanor had shown her that courage could bloom at any age. Daniel proposed on a Tuesday evening. No grand gesture, no elaborate plan, just the two of them having dinner in her kitchen. He said, "I love you. I love the life we have built. I would like to make it official if you are interested." Victoria laughed. "That is the least romantic proposal I have ever heard." "I know, but it is honest. I am not good at romance. I am good at showing up, at choosing you every day, at building something real." "Yes," she said. "Yes, I am interested." They got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, just close friends and family, no drama, no expensive dress, just two people who had survived their own stories choosing to write a new chapter together. Victoria wore a simple cream suit. Owen walked her down the aisle. Claire stood as her maid of honor. It was perfect in its simplicity, in its honesty, in its focus on what mattered, not impressing others, just celebrating love. At the reception, Diane gave a toast. "I have known Victoria for 30 years. I watched her marry young, watched her build a life, watched that life fall apart, watched her rebuild herself from nothing. And now I get to watch her choose love again. Not because she needs it, but because she wants it. That is the difference. That is growth. That is wisdom." Victoria looked around the room, at her children, at her friends, at Daniel, who was looking at her like she was the most interesting person in the world, at the life she had built through sheer determination and refusing to give up. She thought about the woman who had walked into Graham's wedding 7 years ago. That woman had been seeking closure, seeking validation, seeking proof. This woman needed none of those things. She had found them all within herself. 10 years after the wedding, Victoria was interviewed for a business magazine. They asked about her success, her company, her journey. At the end of the interview, the journalist asked, "What would you tell your younger self? The woman who was married to Graham Barrett?" Victoria thought about it, really thought. "I would tell her that she is not crazy, that her instincts are right, that the signs she is seeing are real. I would tell her to trust herself, to leave sooner, to not waste years trying to fix something that was broken from the start." Anything else? Yes. "I would tell her that the best years of her life are coming, that losing him will set her free, that she will build something more beautiful than she can imagine, that she will be happy, really happy, not the fake happiness she is performing in her marriage, but real happiness that comes from being fully yourself." "Do you have any regrets?" "Only one, Turing. I regret staying as long as I did, but even that regret is complicated. Because if I had left sooner, I might not have learned everything I needed to learn, might not have become who I am now. So maybe it was not wasted time. Maybe it was necessary time. Time I needed to spend in the darkness before I could appreciate the light." The article ran with a photo of Victoria in her office. Confident, powerful, at peace. The caption read, "Victoria Barrett, from surviving to thriving." She framed the article, not for her office, for her bedroom, a reminder of how far she had come, of who she had been and who she had become. 15 years after the wedding, I had to run. Victoria was 63 years old. She had retired from day-to-day operations of her company. Sarah had bought her out. Victoria now spent her time mentoring young entrepreneurs, especially women starting over. She and Daniel had a good life. They traveled, they read, they hosted dinners, they volunteered. They lived simply and fully and with intention. Owen and Maya had 2 children. Claire and Thomas had 1. Victoria was a grandmother. The role fit her perfectly. She spoiled her grandchildren, taught them about resilience and strength and choosing yourself. Hoped they would never need those lessons, but gave them anyway, just in case. One afternoon, Victoria was cleaning out her closet. She found a box she had forgotten about. Inside were photos from Graham's wedding. Someone had taken pictures. She had never looked at them. She looked now. There she was in the $5 million dress. Owen and Claire on either side of her. She looked powerful, magnificent, exactly as she remembered. But looking at the photos 15 years later, she saw something else. She saw a woman who was still performing, still trying to prove something, still seeking validation from people who did not matter. She had needed to perform that night, needed to prove she was okay. That was valid. That was necessary. That was part of her healing. But she did not need to perform anymore. She did not need to prove anything. She just needed to be. Victoria threw away the photos, not out of anger or shame, but out of completion. That chapter was over. That woman was gone. This woman did not need those reminders anymore. She kept one photo, the one of her with Owen and Claire, her children, her greatest accomplishment, her proof that something good had come from something broken. That photo went on her mantle, next to photos of her grandchildren, next to a photo of her and Daniel on their wedding day, next to a photo of her accepting an award for her mentorship work. A life in photos, a life well lived, a life built from ashes and determination and refusing to stay small. 20 years after the wedding, Victoria received a letter from Graham. She almost threw it away without opening it. But curiosity won. Always curiosity. The letter was handwritten, his careful script, the same handwriting from the wedding invitation 2 decades ago. Tori, I know you probably do not want to hear from me. I would not blame you if you threw this letter away without reading it, but I needed to write it anyway. I have been in therapy for 3 years now, really doing the work, not just going through the motions, and I have come to understand things about myself that I should have understood decades ago. I was broken when I married you. I was broken our entire marriage. I was broken when I left you, and I broke you in the process. I am sorry for that, truly deeply sorry. I see now that you are trying to love me into being whole, but no one can do that for someone else. I had to do that work myself, and I did not. I just kept running, kept cheating, kept blaming everyone else for my problems. You deserve better than me. You always did, and I am grateful that you found it. I see the articles about you, the interviews, the work you do mentoring women. You are making a difference in the world. That is more than I can say for myself. I am not writing to ask for forgiveness. I do not deserve that. I am writing to tell you that you were right about everything, about me, about our marriage, about what I was doing. You were not crazy. You were not paranoid. You were not too sensitive. You were right. And I gaslit you into doubting yourself because I could not face my own truth. I hope you are happy, really happy. Not the way I pretended to be happy, but the way you described in that interview. Real happiness that comes from being fully yourself. I will not contact you again. This is my goodbye. My final attempt to tell you the truth. You deserved the truth 24 years ago, but I am giving it to you now. Better late than never, I suppose. Graham. Victoria read the letter 3 times, felt nothing. Not anger, not vindication, not even satisfaction. Just a distant recognition that this was a man who had finally done some of the work he should have done decades ago. Too late for their marriage, but maybe not too late for him. She did not respond to the letter. Did not need to. His apology was for him, his closure, his healing. She had found her closure years ago, had found her healing, had found her peace. She burned the letter in her fireplace, watched the paper curl and blacken and turn to ash. Let it go. Finally, completely, absolutely. Daniel found her sitting by the fireplace. What are you burning? The past. Does it feel good? It feels like nothing, and that is perfect. He sat beside her. They watched the fire together. 2 people who had survived their own stories, who had found each other after the worst was over, who were building something real and honest and good. I love you, Daniel said. I love you too. That was all that mattered. Not what had been, but what was. Not who she had been married to, but who she was now. Not the pain of the past, but the peace of the present. Victoria Barrett walked into her ex-husband's wedding wearing a $5 million dress. But the dress was not what saved her. She saved herself. Every morning she chose to get out of bed. Every day she chose to build instead of destroy. Every moment she chose hope over bitterness. If Victoria's story resonated with you, if you have ever felt underestimated or counted out, if you have ever needed proof that you can rebuild your life after losing everything, do me a favor. Hit that like button so I know this story mattered to you. Drop a comment telling me what moment hit you hardest. Was it when her children chose to stand with her? When she warned Amber about the prenup? When she gave that speech at the wedding? I want to know what resonated with you. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, someone who is struggling, Someone who needs proof that survival is possible, that happiness after heartbreak is real, that you can lose everything and still build a life worth living. And if you want more stories like this, stories about resilience and transformation and women who refuse to stay small, hit that subscribe button because I have got more stories to tell. Stories that will make you laugh and cry and feel like anything is possible. Victoria Barrett proved that the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is just living so well that everyone realizes what they lost, and then continuing to live well long after they realize. Because your happiness was never about proving anything to them. It was always about proving something to yourself. Thanks for listening to Victoria's story. Now go live yours, like she lived hers, fully, authentically, unapologetically. I will see you in the next story.